welcome to another episode of What the Tech Am I Doing? I am so excited for you guys to hear this interview. We talked to President and CEO of Vapotherm. It's one of the most advanced respiratory therapies in the world, and how they've been treating COVID, how Joe, the CEO, has built the company and the culture, as well as how he got into his position and what he recommends for other people looking to get into a similar leadership position. This is one you don't want to miss. Enjoy.
So this is What the Tech Am I Doing, episode 6, and we have Joe Army, CEO and president of Vapotherm. It's one of the most advanced respiratory technologies in the world, and it's actually been, the name's been growing as we're treating COVID, and I'm excited to have him on and share his advice. So Joe, if you want to start off and kind of give background, I think you have an interesting story, especially how you became CEO. If you want to just give a high level of that for our audience.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. And I want you to remember that it's worth exactly what you're paying for it, okay? Which is zero. I have a liberal arts background. I'm a history major. So for all you people with liberal arts, your parents ask you, what the hell are you going to do with your living? Well, there's other things you can do, right? So I came out of college knowing how to read, write, and think. And ended up in medical technology largely because my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and I was already out of business school. I was working in one of these big consulting firms, and long story short, my mom lived for another 17, 18 years, and she had end-stage lung cancer. It was the damnedest thing I've ever seen. Really, really was amazing. But it really inspired me. By then, Kim and I were married. We had a couple kids, and going to medical school was not an option. But I did figure that I could maybe help get them better tools in the clinician's hands. And if you can get them better tools, they're going to be able to treat those patients better. And so that's what started me doing medtech. And, it's 22, 23 years or so ago. And I think that was like the best choice I ever made in my life, because I haven't worked a day in my life. And it's just like the most rewarding thing on planet Earth. So that's how I got into space.
I love that. And then so you kind of transitioned over, you started with the liberal arts, but then you got your MBA. And then I think people always talk about MBAs and the value of the networking aspect. I think you might be the model student for that. And that seems like you had a lot of connections and kind of got your way into, like, you were 3 for 3 startups on, successes. So tell us about how you got into those and what you knew, how you knew it was the right decision when you entered each one before you got to
first of all, I'm going to give you a fun fact, which I bet you don't know. Did you know that an MBA is the only graduate degree that qualifies you for exactly nothing? That's the only reason that you can actually deduct it on your income taxes. You can deduct tuition. So I did that. I took a massive tax deduction, right? But it's the only graduate degree that doesn't qualify you for a damn thing. And so, my view on that is generally, I could have learned everything they taught me. I could have learned by buying the books and just reading them. But I could not have built the friendships and the relationships that I have to this day with those people that I went to school with. And they've turned out to be great sounding boards, great friends, just, really good people. When you got a tough problem, you have somebody to call up and talk to them about it. Mm-hmm. So, that whole graduate school thing, if I looked at it, I managed to work my way through college and pay for it. And I don't know how the hell a kid could do that today. I just don't think you can, right? I don't care how much you work or how hard you're going to go, unless you're going to do community college, something like that. That's the only path. But that whole piece of it, I just don't know about if I would do it again, graduate school. But I went to Wharton. So one of the top. The view that it's going to be one of the top 5 schools. I only applied to 4 of them and said, if I don't get into one of them, I ain't going. And so it worked, right? And I took finance and marketing because that's what Wharton was pretty good at, finance and pretty good at marketing. And, I'd already learned all the liberal arts stuff. My first job was in sales because I figured, you want to be able to know how to sell stuff. You have to be able to communicate. You've got to be able to share a vision, and you've got to excite people and find a way to close the deal and raise the money. And from there, when I get out of graduate school, then it was more in operations and finance. I was doing turnarounds of high growth companies that get into financial distress. And, That teaches you an awful lot too about you're either going to fix them or you're going to shoot them, and there's really nothing in between. And then, getting to go and build a strategy practice inside there. Once you got them stabilized, how do you make them grow again? So it's really kind of cool in that it was all those different elements. It was sales, it was operations, it was finance, it was all these pieces together, and then getting into, startups. And, I've been lucky as hell in all of these things. It's just never, ever, ever discount luck, because luck is all that I've ever had, right? So, really, really well-rounded, sort of jack of all trades, master of none. And then figured out that medical technology was going to be my thing. And I've been very lucky that I've been involved in 3 of these things, and that all 3 of them have had very, very important benefits for patients, and they've worked. They've turned into pretty big businesses. So that's neat. So I think it's the psychic energy of being in med tech is like nothing in the world. It's such a good industry to be in, because you feel so good about the work that you do every day, and you're going to go help them patients. It's very, very rewarding.
Yeah. I mean, you say it's luck, but you have to prepare yourself for luck at least. So it is a combination. I know you had talked about when you're going into a business, how you know if it's a product versus company, and making sure that you don't confuse one for the other. What's your advice on that one?
It's real simple. That you figure out if you got a product or you got a company, right?
How do you know the difference?
Well, you look at a product, it's very nichey. It tends to be very narrow. It tends to solve really only one problem, and that problem is in a very narrow set of patients. A company is, you can sit there and you can go, generally they call it a platform technology, right? It's probably the most overused word in venture capital today is platform technology, but no kidding, I've been part of 3 of them, where you can imagine how that technology is going to go from here to like the next county, and all the different iterations of it, and how you can use that technology to help a wide variety of patients. That is a company. A product is, I've built a technology that could be used to go repair heart valves percutaneously. And I think it can work, and this is how it can work. Great, that's a product. Don't raise capital to the same magnitude. Those businesses typically trade for anywhere from 50 to 150 million. If you put too much capital into that business, it's not going to work. Whereas in companies, it could take 100 to 150 million dollars worth of capital in order to get these things to a point where they self-sustain. That's a massive amount of capital. And so you better be able to build something that's able to serve, millions of patients.
No, thank you. Thanks for the definition, because I think that's good advice. And I think it's so funny how humble you are, because to you, you're like, oh, it's easy. It's, super straightforward. And you're like, you have such a different, unique mindset than most people. So things that maybe are more straightforward to you, it's interesting to see how your mind works on certain aspects.
Yeah, it's simple, right? If you just, like what my wife says, if you just think like a 12-year-old kid, you're probably going to be in that ballpark.
You're like, we're on the same page then. That's funny. So on top of, kind of steering from there, I want to talk about Vapotherm and the company culture, because I think with you leading the company, you guys have a very unique company culture in how you do things. To the patients first. I mean, your walls are splattered with patients and always thinking about the patients, and your patient day celebrations. And on top of that, I remember, I mean, you've grown a lot since back when I was an intern there, but you even hired a trainer and would allow people to come in and train with you in the mornings and get a workout in and get to know you on a personal level, which is something you don't see in the industry. And so I want to hear more about the culture, how you've grown it, and especially as you've grown the company, how you've continued to grow the culture with it.
I think you probably see it more in the industry than you think. I don't think you're going to see it at Edwards or at, one of these big giant companies, just because they're just so big, right? Is the beauty of, this is a perfect size for me. I like small everything, right? I don't trust big government. I don't trust big companies. I don't trust big anything. I like small because I like the people element of it, right? It's very important to me to know everybody's story, to be able to be around them, to just like have a common mission that we're going to go do our thing. if you ask me the one special ingredient for any of these companies that I've been lucky enough to be involved in, it's a total focus on that patient at just ignore everything else. Like, this is going to go on my mom, this is going to go on my daughter, this is going to go on somebody that I know, and we're going to give them magical tools. The other thing that I always think about is my mom worked in a factory, and she was in a wafer fab on the production floor. And do you know, she was never allowed in the carpeted parts of that plant. And so I hate that. I hate that idea of two classes of people, right? So I always want everybody to feel comfortable everywhere in the plant, everywhere. Anybody can go anywhere, and you're going to feel at home. We're all part of the team, right? If the guys in the production room don't do their job, if the guys doing R&D don't do their job, if the marketing people don't, we're hosed. There's no one part of this business that's not a requirement, right? We're all got to do our job to be making it work. I also don't like a lot of control, right? I'm a libertarian at heart. I hate authority. And so I like people to be able to choose. And anything that we can do to give our employees choice, right? We want our customers to have choice. We don't want to put them into a narrow box. You let you choose what's best for you. And I love that. I think that's so important in our organization, right? We also work very, very hard. And everybody understands that this is either going to be the job that you absolutely love the most, or you think we're all insane and you hate it and you need to leave. Because there's no middle. There's literally no middle. Single biggest risk for us as we grew is losing our culture. We all wrote our guiding principles together. Well, now we live that, right? And then we all wrote our business conduct principles together. Literally, I got the entire damn company in the Exeter High School gym, or what do you call it, the cafeteria. And we all broke into these tables and we wrote those business conduct principles, and then we debated the hell out of them, right?
That's
Not
awesome.
very efficient, but boy, is it real now, right? Because people wrote their own. They had their own way to put their handprints on it. It wasn't somebody giving you all this training and jamming it down your throat and saying, you do this, you do that. So, that culture's, and I didn't hire a trainer, Talia. I mean, we brought her onto the team. We built a gym here now in our new headquarters. So now it's actually really cool to see what Talia does for work, because now Talia not only is a trainer, but now Talia is responsible for our employee wellness. So she runs all of our health insurance. She figures out all the different programs. It's like the coolest thing you've ever seen. So you start with something like that that's a little crazy, and then it just kind of builds and it builds and it builds, and it's really good for our team. She's running 3 or 4 days worth of 3 or 4 classes a day up there. Everybody in the plant gets to go. You shouldn't be going to gymnasiums right now because of COVID-19, but you can actually go to ours because we wipe it all down. We're all together, right? It's a closed bubble. Anyway, I'm rambling.
No, I love it. I mean, Edwards we're very similar with the patients and trying to create a culture. But it's funny because Vapotherm was my first industry experience. And I think now that I'm older and have a bigger outlook, it's like I look back at those times, I'm like, wow, that was amazing. Seeing how much ahead we were and everything about it, such a small. And then it's cool to hear that you've grown it where it's like just having one trainer is now we have this whole facility and look at all the different ways we're helping people. So it's nice to hear that even as the company grows, you're still keeping those core values intact.
Oh, we better. I started doing this thing called listening lunches, right? Because I knew I was travel a lot in the field, right? It was always half the time was in the hospitals with customers and our field people. So you hear a lot from the field people about what they like that I always ask them 2 questions. Hey, give me the one thing that I'm doing that's hurting our company that you want me to stop. And then give me the other thing that you really like that the company is doing that you want us to make sure that we either do more of or don't forget, right? Literally, it's 2 questions. And I always get that when you're riding with reps for 8 hours, at first they're all freaked out because they're with the CEO. By the end of the day, it's just like, whatever.
Yeah.
And, they're doing
Open
their
up.
thing. But I never ever thought about how would I get that at the Galactic headquarters? Like how, because I always walk around a lot, but I wasn't that same kind of intensive time together where, it would come out. So I started doing these listening lunches, best thing I ever did. So get them all together and do them once a week and you just ask them those 2 questions. And I've done it with departments, then I mixed and matched, and I tried different staff levels, and then I'm doing it with people around the world. And this whole go to meeting thing makes them even better Like, this is even better than GoToMeeting thing. I can
You don't
hear
even have
from
to
more
worry
people.
about it. Yeah.
Oh no, it's a riot. So that whole being able to listen about what's the one thing that you as the leader are doing that's shooting
Mhm.
your company in the foot. And you really gotta be prepared to whatever they say. You gotta hear it. You may not like it. I don't have to agree with it, but I damn well better hear it. And then what's the one thing that we're doing that's magical that we don't want to lose? Those are like the only two questions you ever got to ask them.
I love that. I might actually start incorporating that and trying to bring that back to us, because I think being able, and then at the same time, there's little things in teams, and people can get frustrated or disgruntled or whatever. At the end of the day, you still have the same vision, but then it's nice to every once in a while you have a checkpoint, because then it's like, oh yeah, this is what I love, and hey, if you can improve this, that'd be great. And then it's like, cool, problem solved, moving on. And then you get to know people in your company at a deeper level.
You got to say it though. You can't just say what I don't like. You got to say, what is the one thing my CEO is doing that's shooting the company in the foot?
That's fair.
You want to be really kind of stark
Purposeful.
with that language, because you
Mhm.
want to give them a lot of permission. You got to give them
Mhm.
permission to get real. Otherwise, you're going to get a bunch of
To get real
baloney.
with you.
They're not going to tell you the real. Oh, I'd like different coffee in the cafeteria. Some other baloney like that, right? You gotta really open it up and give them total
Very
permission to
targeted.
kind of, and you got to use words like, yeah, that was a really stupid thing that I did. I can't believe I did that. I'm so sorry that I did that. And always, you got to, as the leader, you got to own it yourself. It's not, oh, I can't believe we did that, or I can't believe that person over there who works for me did that. No, is me. Is my anything that happens that is bad is my responsibility. Anything that's good, our team did it.
Exactly.
Right? So you want to be thinking about that. You want to frame it that way. It'll make people more comfortable when they're talking with you, and they'll be more likely to tell you the truth. And if they tell you the truth, you're going to make it better.
Yeah. How to be a good leader, right there. So then, let's talk a little bit about the company's response to COVID, because I mean, I've seen it everywhere. You guys, I think people really realize the value of the product, especially during these times, and you had to ramp up quickly, and so if you could talk about how it's been helping and what you guys had to do to kind of meet the demand.
So it was like nothing I've ever seen in my life. It was incredible. Now, we got lucky. Our chief commercial officer is a guy named Greg Ramad, and he is wicked smart. He lives in Paris, and he had been running our international business. And so I'm talking to him a couple times a day. This is back in early January. We see this thing bubbling up in China, and we're like, you know what? Let's go talk to the Chinese government, see if we can help them, because we're not in China. And that got us talking about it, interested, poking around at it. We're like, this thing is going to come to the U.S. This is not good. So we start nudging the throttles ahead a little bit, talking to our head of operations. Hey, go order some more parts. Just start ordering some stuff. Start beefing up just a little bit, just bumping along. Then it starts to show up the first week of February. It's showing up in Europe. And Greg's called me up and he's like, dude, this is not going to be good. Then everything goes dead quiet. Now we're bumping it up more. We're bumping it up more. Okay, let's go. We built a set of plans where, Lindsay Becker, our HR VP, she was talking to the person at the hospital in charge of COVID and the superintendent of all the schools, because we figured if the poop's going to hit the fan, those two people are going to know about it first, and we're going to lock our business down, and we're going to send everybody home. And do you know that when that happened, that March 13th, because we live in the snow belt, from time to time, our plant shuts down because of snow days, but our customers still need products. So we had already built all the telecommunications infrastructure that our customer service people on snow days stayed home. They fire their computer up and they just take orders, and the customer has no clue that they're not talking to somebody that's, at the galactic headquarters. So within a day, we were literally fully functional everywhere.
That's
in about a 4-week period, we increased our production capacity by 6-fold. It was like nothing I ever seen. Our theoretical production capacity, we'd never actually done it. Our theoretical capacity was 100 units a week. And within 3-4 weeks, we jammed those throttles to the firewall, and it was just amazing what our team did. We were just inundated. And then it happened again in July. And in July, but by July, we now had experience. By July, we had learned how to run multiple shifts. We were adding more production lines. We had dramatically increased our hitting power. And I didn't take my foot off the pedal when it slowed down there in the end of May. Keep building, keep going. We built up crazy amount of inventory. Well, July came, and guess what? Every single customer that needed anything got it right then. Nobody waited.
Wow.
I was very, and that's around the world. I love it. There was some time when they were sounded like the government was going to not let us export stuff, and we're like, okay, go get a bunch of stuff and go get it on a plane right now and go get it into our 3PL in Amsterdam. I'm going to take care of customers around the world. Unless we're actually at war with them, we're going to go serve them, right? People are people everywhere we go.
Yeah.
So there's like nothing I ever seen with this team. I mean, those production people were working 10, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, flat out. They couldn't go. Remember what it was like, right? There was no toilet paper on the shelves.
Oh, it was insane.
So you remember Talia, the woman who was the trainer,
Mhm.
right? Talia took my truck and went around and started talking to all of the supermarket managers about buying toilet paper in bulk. And they're like, no way, no way. And then she found a guy at Market Basket because she told him what she was trying to do. So every week we were giving our production people goodie bags. I mean, who would have thought in America that you would give goodie bags of freaking toilet paper, right, to your production team? And they would be going, oh my God, this is so special. I can't believe you're giving me toilet paper, right? In America, give me a break. But
oh my gosh. But you guys figured out what was going to stress them. I mean, if they're at work all day, they're not getting the first shipment of toilet paper trying to run to the store. You figured out what they were worried about and how to at least like a little bit ease that stress.
Right. Every day, Lindsay and I would be on the production floor and we were telling stories because every day we were getting through Salesforce, on the chatter posts, more stories about patients. And you tell people the why. You tell them the why. Here's why I need you to do this. And you tell them what the mission is and the why, and then get out of their way. And these people did an amazing job all the way through the organization. So it was really something to see. It has fundamentally transformed our business. It's like we stepped into a time machine and then stepped back out 3 years later. It didn't change the play that we were running, emergency departments in the biggest hospitals in the country, but wow, have they figured it out. And so now we spent the summer, we expanded our field clinical education team, and we just flooded the zone and all those, we opened up so many big new, we call them gold hospitals. They're the largest hospitals in the US, top 1,000. We just opened up so many of them. It's remarkable. And then we spent all summer long teaching them not only how to treat type 1 respiratory distress, which is oxygenation of the COVID patients, but also type 2, patients that were hypercapnic. And that, conventional wisdom says you can't ventilate those patients. And with our technology, you can. And all of a sudden, like, we were starting to have aha moments all over the Northeast where doctors are going, you're kidding me. I am ventilating a COPD patient with CO2 levels in their blood that are crazy, and I can't believe I'm doing it with a nasal cannula. This is unbelievable. It's like a black swan event for them. So it's been pretty remarkable in terms of how our people responded, how the customer. I tell you what, last night, coming back from building a makeup cabinet for my daughter in Boston, ended up this guy who his wife is in an ICU in Powell, Tennessee, reaches out to me to say thank you. He was telling me what this technology was doing for his wife. She was at 40 liters a minute, 100% FiO2, and they were not intubating her. They had all the stuff right next to the bed to intubate this lady, but they weren't going to have to do it. And it's stuff like that. It's like you're never going to forget things like that happen.
No, that's outstanding. The way you've been able to treat patients and more patients, but two, you guys saw it coming. You were proactive, and I think that shows the great leadership. I know you very humble, but I think it's
it's luck. No, I'm not kidding you. It's
fair.
Greg Ramad and I talking to each other and just looking at this going, I'll tell you what we did not do. Many times you see a failure of imagination. People don't have the ability to imagine how bad something could get. They don't even want it. They fail to. You see it in V&V all the time, right? You see it when new engineers are got a product. They just lack imagination about what could really go wrong. We didn't suffer from that lack of imagination. We thought about how bad this could be, And
you got ready for it. Oh, and you were, the fact that you already had the infrastructure and then we're like, hey, just in case, let's do all these things. You were set. And it made a difference because that means that you could help more of those patients and use your therapies for the best. So
Yep.
that's amazing.
My wife is giving me the hook here. So if
Okay.
you got one more question and we'll wrap it up.
Okay. If you're able to give one piece of advice to young professionals, people early in their career who are trying to get in a position like you, what would it be?
Nobody
Be
ever
like first
died of
10
hard
years of
work.
their career.
Yeah,
Say it again?
nobody ever died of hard work. Right?
Yep.
Hey, my first 10 years of my career, my wife was a single mother, and we were married, but she raised those kids. She built our home. I spent every minute building my tool bag, and I didn't know at the time that's what I was doing. I was just voracious consumer of information. I read fast. I don't forget much. And, I grew up on a dairy farm. I know how to work hard, right? It's just, that's what you do. But I collected credentials like you couldn't believe. Did you know I'm a certified fraud examiner, a certified turnaround professional? I'm certified in production and inventory management. I'm a CPA. I have a Series 7 license. I have a commodities broker's license. You name the credential, and I earned it at that age because I was constantly reading, studying, thinking about it, and building the set of skills, right? So my advice is nobody ever died of hard work. Go like crazy, right? And make sure that you're doing something that when you're 80 years old and you're looking back on your life, you know what? That was worth doing. That was important. I'm going to look at all those patients and I'm going to remember that, because then you'll never work a day in your life. I would have done all of these jobs. I would have paid them to get to do it. So have the fire, right?
Yep. It's important.
All right.
Thank you so
It
much.
is.
I know you have to run, but this was such valuable. This is one of my favorite ones we've done so far. And I think people are going to love it. People are going to dive in. They're going to look you up. They're going to look Vapotherm up if they don't know about it here in California. You guys are doing amazing work. So I appreciate you spending the time.
Well, I've had fun. I wish you the best, and you keep in touch. I want to keep an eye on your career, right? So maybe sometime you're going to come back to the East Coast.
Will do. Thanks again.
All right. Take care of
Bye.
yourself. Bye-bye now.
Wow. Thanks again, Joe, for coming on. I think everyone who listens to this is going to learn so much. And I mean, you hear it in how he talks. He's so humble, yet such an amazing leader and such a good head on his shoulders, and the way his mind thinks. I think everyone can learn a lot. So I urge you to look him up, look Vapotherm up, really see how much you can learn about other companies and other people and how they're doing it, and try and inspire yourself, because that's how I feel right now. I feel inspired after that interview. So I'm really excited, and I hope you enjoy. Please follow us on all the platforms we have. You can find it in our link tree in our bio. So thanks again.